So welcome everyone to Eternity's developer update. We are in the 32nd week of 2019. The Eternity Universe Conference is approaching in Prague, and also the hard fork, and we are slowly getting to finish the releases for Lima. And one huge topic this week was also the token migration, not the one that is going on since in Eternity's inception, but actually the solution for people who have still Eternity tokens on Ethereum as an ERC20 token, and want to have them on mainnet, even if they don't migrate them in the classical way. Therefore, we have found a solution which Martin is mainly building from the user's perspective, but we also have updates in core around this. This is just one of many things, of course, that happened this week. So we will just start with Martin. And yeah, please give us an update, and maybe also you can later on post a small update into the forum. This can also include the specifications that you basically, or that the team around you prepared for the non-transferable tokens and token migration. So Martin, please give us some insights.
Okay, I will start with the token migration. Yes, the team was focused mainly on working on the token migration. We have started to build the backend service that will create one Merkle tree that it will be used for as a proof. So we have started this. Also, we have started to build something in the front end, for example, to sign the messages with MetaMask. And also we have created our own full synced Ethereum node, because we want to have second point for proofs that all Ethereum holders are these that will be listed in the Merkle tree. Also, we will use Infura as the second point for this. So we have two servers that we will fetch all of the Ethereum token holders. Also, we have worked on the Playground online IDE. We have fixed the compilation and the deployment there. Also, we have fixed the generalized accounts. The generalized account that was inside, and we have provided new ones. And we will release new version of the Playground soon, probably next week. And also, we have made some little fixes on Forge. But our main focus will be next week's will be on the token migration. So this is from our side.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Martin.
Emin?
He's always breaking up at the worst times.
You mentioned earlier that the internet is not so good today.
Huh?
Said Amy mentioned earlier that his connection is not so good today. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we should just get on with doing some reports so we can edit it all together in the end. I will do the SDK and middleware report while this is going on. So it's been a quiet week for middleware because I've been working on a different project. We discovered a fun error, which is that people who put nulls into their transactions don't get them correctly stored. So we're working on a fix for that at the moment, which will be released on Monday. And in SDK land, we did a new release of the JavaScript SDK, which supports the Sophia variant type, now has the ability to compute TX hashes and supports node pools so that you can connect to several nodes. The Python SDK now supports generalized accounts, and the Go SDK is gaining that. And this ends the SDK report.
So, well, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. I guess Imi is still not back, so I'll go next from the AirGap team. So this week we also have only a short update. We have continued to work on the wallet. We are now in the process of releasing a new version that has some small internal changes and performance improvements. In the vault, we are still working on the security findings to fix those issues. We have worked on the AE access that we proposed and updated them. We are now waiting for feedback, but we already started implementing them, both of them. We have again worked with the base app team. Thanks to them, we were able to discover a bug with deep linking in the vault that also affects us. We noticed, so we are in the process of fixing that. We will release a fix shortly, and we have also been helping the app team or working together with them to improve the AEX proposals that they have opened. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you, Andy.
Maybe. Okay.
Thanks, Andy. And yeah, I would just continue with the next wallet. So Stoyan is also here in this call. So Stoyan, please give us your update from the past week.
Sure. So we're right now sort of in overlapping releases because of releasing in web is a little bit easier than in iOS and Android, or maybe not easier, it's faster. Well, it's faster and easier. So the previous version of the base app, which we released last week, is now online in web and iOS. This is version 0.89, but it's not live on Android yet because we found some crash bugs that we want to look into before we release it. That version has sending to a name from the naming system. Yesterday, we put out a new release, which is code 0810. That release is already in the web version and is currently in private testing in iOS and Android apps. This release includes multi-language support, which is very exciting for us. We have Chinese and Russian that we're starting with. We'll add, it's now easy to add other languages. So we'll work with the ambassadors to support other languages. For Chinese, we need to investigate a little bit if people from the Android market can still access the app, because for iOS, they can't unless they switch to a Hong Kong store. And I also want to look into if there's any restrictions for the web version. This release also includes displaying in fiat currency. Right now we have euro and dollar and also Bitcoin, which is not fiat. We'll maybe add more currencies in the future. We've made it very easy for people to see their balance in AE and also simultaneously in the other currencies. It's also very easy to toggle between the two in the case that you want to see everything in the secondary currency. We're hoping to put this in public release in iOS and Android very soon, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Like I said, it's right now it's only in web. In our next release, which will be most likely the week after next, we will implement the ability to pass the ownership of a name to another account, so that it could be one of your accounts, or you could just pass it to somebody else. And we're working on a fix. Right now, we have restricted the apps that can be opened by the base app through a hard-coded domain list because we found a vulnerability in Android, and we're figuring out what our options are to fix this so that we can get rid of the hard-coded list of supported domains. And I'm also working on an interface for the naming system auction bidding, so that we have a GUI for that. Those are the main things we're working on. There's smaller stuff, but they're not worth mentioning here. We're going more high level.
Well, this great, and it's good to see how this is approaching. Also, I think calling it base wallet is sometimes too less because it is also a browser and therefore interact with apps like the Graffiti app or the governance app that currently gets built. And the same thing also, I guess, counts for our browser wallet, with Milan is mainly coordinating. So I just jumped directly to Milan because I've also seen quite some updates in the browser wallet. Milan, please give us some insights.
Hi guys. So this last week we've been working on the new functionality allowing users to sign and verify message via their aeternity account. We've added this into the utilities section, and we've also, as we announced last time, we've been working on a stable version. We've been fixing a lot of bugs on the firstly on the language switcher, then on the network and the fungible tokens dropdowns. We've been adding more tests and more alerts and warning messages in situations like losing network connection, validating user input, and quite a lot of UI changes in the token allowances. We've also been working on whole design improvements. We've released a new version for Firefox and a new version for Chrome browsers, Chromium-based browsers. As I told you last time, we are facing a delay there because of their new security policy, but we've been communicating with them, and I think we'll soon we'll have the newest version on Chromium browsers as well. And also, I personally was working on the fungible token proposal AX9, adding additional unit tests, and I updated smart contracts with the latest Sophia syntax. And actually today also I've submitted a pull request to the Microsoft Monaco editor to support Sophia syntax as well, because people are using it. For example, Nikita, he is building a nice graphical user interface for people to code Sophia easily. So yeah, that is from our side.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Milan, for this update. And as mentioned before, like people who are also users are not only users in terms of the people installing it, but especially also app developers like Hernan or Pivo. So Pivo, you are currently putting lots of effort into the app for the governance, and I think you also work close with the base app team here. So yeah, please give us an insight about your latest achievements or your team's latest achievements over the past week.
Okay, so in the last week, I mostly tried to work on performance regarding the governance app, as the base functionality was prototyped quite quickly. But then if you think about if you allow sub-delegations as described in the introductory forum post and a repository I made, if you think about sub-delegations and then getting the state for each vote and counting all of this, will need a lot of calls and to the smart contract and lots of balance checks from the node and stuff like this. So I did experiment with some huge polls on the governance app as it was, and it takes seconds to load, which is not nice for the user. So I tried to introduce some caching in this was mostly done in the last week. And tried to make it work in base app, that the integration will work very nice, and just this in general, and coordinated a little bit on the designs we are currently in the making.
Great. Are those designs also shared in the forum, or is it possible for people to give feedback there?
Yes, the very early version of the design is in the forum already, but we have some newer versions already, and they are under heavy development right now. And for sure, this is work done by a designer, and maybe the end result will look a little bit different.
Perfect.
So yeah, but feedback is welcome.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Pivo. I'd jump to Hernan, which is here in the call, who is working on the payments channel app that we can hopefully all use at the Universe conference in Prague, 20 and 21st in September. Yeah, I've seen lots of conversations over the past week, especially also with the SDK team. And the Forge AE team. So Hernan, please give us an insight about your updates.
Hi guys, glad to be here. Yes, we were working on the two applications from the merchant and the customer, together with the Hub backend application. And in parallel, we were working on designing the screens for the UI of the applications that we will use, hopefully, on the conference. I don't know if you guys share here or it is common to share here some the screen for a little moment, briefly, to show.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. I will try to share my screen here, and please tell me if you are seeing. I will choose entire screen. Okay. Please let me know if you can see some. Oh, yes. Those are some screens we are working on from the point of view of the styles. This is being done in parallel to the application logic, which is being worked in a separate project with a draft and very coarse style, US style. I will show that in a moment. Those are the screens that we got in the. Do you remember in the UX flow that we show on some weeks ago? So this is the style we are thinking to be implemented in the final version. And this yeah. Sorry, Emin.
No, please continue. I was also just saying it would also be great if you could share those in the forum, so people could also give feedback there or even contribute to the designs or add ideas. So after this call or so, if you would spend some time to also publish these updates on the forum, that would help to follow up for other people.
No problem at all. I will share, yes, of course, in the forum to share and listen for enhancements and comments, of course. I will show a little video I recorded of our draft applications and how we are going on. At the left of the screen is the customer application, and at the right of the screen is the merchant application. For now, they are not very different. And the hub is working in the back of both applications are connected to the hub or point of sale service. Okay, so look at how, for example, we can do an onboarding for the merchant. I will scan a QR code, a sample QR code that contains the connection information. Okay. Now, in the first step for a merchant or seller, they will register against the point of sale, against the hub with a name, with a business name or personal name. Okay. For example, I will put here Totos Bar, which is a sample name for this demo. He will deposit fixed. We should decide on how much a merchant will put on the channel to open it. here's the channel status changing, and we got here on the main screen with the channel funds updated. Okay, we do the same thing with a sample customer that came to buy something. He onboards with a QR code, and he deposits a certain amount that he can use, of course, to buy things and open the channel. 24 here for the example. He will open the channel against the hub and the node. And now I will show a very simple demonstration of how a customer will buy to this, will buy an item to this Choros bar. The merchant will ask the customer for his QR code. So I show my cell phone, which contains, of course, a bogus QR code, but to show you, I will scan. And for example, this is very preliminary. I think that this can be simplified. We can enter just the amount and not what you are buying. I think that we should decide later on that. But for this example, I will show that, for example, the merchant will require a payment for 3. I think that I put 3 beers here. He will ask, the customer asks to buy 3 beers, and the merchant asks for a payment through this way. So he sends through the hub the purchase information, and the customer will receive with a pop-up if they want to pay, if he wants to pay the what he agreed with the merchant. Once he clicks accept, here the merchant, the seller will have the channel funds updated. He transferred the 4.5 tokens to the point of sale hub, and the merchant received a toast notification for the payment he received. This will be enhanced and so on, so don't worry about that, because what we are lacking here and will be fixed in the next few days is to show in the merchant side how much he has accumulated in sales, okay, in sales from the customers. So at a later time, he can request to transfer all the amount he made from sales to his own wallet. Okay. And finally, we show that, for example, in on-chain transactions, for example, in closed channel, we are waiting now for the settlement of the transaction on chain. For example, the customer wants to leave, and I wait here for a few blocks to confirm. I think that I'm waiting too much, 7 or 8 blocks. I think that it's too much, but finally eventually he will reach what we consider the confirmed state, and he receives a thanks and message that we'll set up later. And for the merchant, he can left again. And the application will wait gracefully for the correct number of transactions the correct number, sorry, of microblocks to elapse for the transaction to be considered settled on the chain. So
great. Thank you very much for all those insights. And I will just close you down here now, Hernand. But it's really good to see how many different products you are touching while building this. So let it be the SDK, the wallet, having your local development environment set up with Forge AE, having to understand how state channels work and getting the UX and UI work. I saw that Dinsho, who is not here in the call, who is taking call about a lot of system reliability engineering in our team, was giving feedback and asking questions on how this is going to run during the conference. And overall, it touches many, many different products within the Eternity ecosystem, and it's great to see your progress here. Thanks a lot.
Anand, can I ask a quick question? So the pattern was really interesting to see. You basically made the merchant request a payment from the customer, right?
yes.
Yeah. Did you do it with some like general message which was sent through the state, and then out of that information, then there was a proposal to compose a transaction, basically?
Basically, for the customer to get the information, we first, since we thought previously of trying to see if some kind of metadata will be possible to be sent along an update. We talked with the SDK guys, and it's not possible because that will require to modify the protocol. Okay, so we thought that on a two-step kind of messaging, where we first sent the message to the customer with the purchase data, and after that, in a serial way, we send the actual update.
But the first message was just a general message, like we can send through state channels, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, it's a really interesting pattern. We need to collect those for the future.
Yes, and as a moderator, I'm just moving to the next person now, and I hope that please also share your insights, your screens, and code also at the forum post, so people can join a discussion there and give feedback to the current process. And I would like to go to the next person here, which is also just joined a couple of weeks ago and currently working on an integration for General Bytes ATM crypto machine, which is Peter. I see him here in the call. So Peter, I know that you have been working with the Java SDK, for example, which is a community-built SDK by one startup that open sourced it. And yeah, please tell us what your progress about the past week's work.
Hi everyone. This week we managed to integrate the Java SDK into the General Bytes project. We managed to cope with all the dependency mismatch version problems. So finally we integrated, but today I stumbled on a problem which I think I'm gonna need some community help. The problem was related that when I try to get the balance of a wallet, I receive API exception that it's not found that account. And I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong or I have some kind of problem on my node, on my blockchain node. So I will share later on the forum. I'll create a thread with that problem. So I hope I can get some community feedbacks to cope with the problem faster. So basically that week we just did the integration. I hope we could do more, but that's on our side for now.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, this is fine. Please do so. We can also reach out to the ones at the Java SDK just from a from hearing this quickly, it could be connected to our generalized accounts, which might not be yet supported by the Java SDK. So this could be one of the directions to look at, but I'm sure you will quickly receive an answer here, and we will also take care that it reaches the right people. I would like to, as a next speaker here for a short update, I see Tino here in the call. He's part of a contributor to the protocol team, and you've been working with John a little bit on the Ethereum message verification, or better, let's say, having this run on Windows, but mainly also on state channels. So just give us your update, please, about the past week, Tino.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, as already mentioned, I recently joined the state channels team and helping out developers who want to get the node running on Windows. So for state channels, there has been lots of work going on into documentation and refactoring of the code itself. So now there's a rather large UML diagram representation of the FSM, which is useful for users who want to use state channels, such as Hernan, for instance. Then the calculation of transaction fees has been changed from being static for all transactions to being dynamically calculated for each transaction, which helps for many transactions to not be rejected internally. Then there's been work on the reliability of the WebSocket API by allowing clients to disconnect and reconnect. So the internal state, the FSM, keeps running until clients reconnect or timeout occurs. That helps a lot since clients don't have to reestablish the FSM itself. And yeah, the first draft of the virtual state channels proposal is out. So this is actively being reviewed right now, and feedback is always welcome. It's available in the protocol repository as a PR, which I can link to later. And yeah, so we expect that in 1 week or 2 weeks, we'll be done with the review and we can push it into the forum for further community discussion. And then there's ongoing work on things like the encryption of the state channel cache, back channel updates for state channels, and then we also incorporate feedback from users like Hernan, which we saw earlier, who are using state channels. So that's really good, since we can then have a feedback loop and fix bugs. Yeah, right now. That's pretty much
Great. Thank you, Tino. Yeah, please also share maybe image of this graphical representation that you did. I tried to do this on my side a couple of days ago, but I was not really able to find to get this working. I don't know, maybe I'm just so stupid, but if you could just share an image and not only the text file to generate it yourself, this would be great to see as part of the written update with the links to the things you just mentioned. And yeah, thank you very much. All those updates sound really good, and I also think it's really nice to have Hernan and his team working now on an app and running into all of these problems. I also see Ulf here. Ulf, do you want to add anything to what Tino just said, or should I skip you and you're just listening?
I intended to mainly listen, but if you meant the UML graphics,
yes,
if you go to the Eternity repos and look into the wiki, they can be found there.
Ah, great. Thank you very much. Yes, I will also link to this from the forum. Or Tino, you can also do this, because I think it's extremely interesting and extremely helpful to understand. Yeah,
it's also very nice that the source of those images are actually in text form, so they can be kept up to date as part of the PR process.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect. I actually saw this text form and then I got a little confused, but now I know where to find it. Thank you very much, Ulf. As we are talking about updates on protocol level right now, I also see Sergey here. So Sergey, maybe you can give us a general update about things happened in the past week.
Hi all, Sergey is here. So I mean, the state channel update was just made by Tino, so I think he is much more qualified to do this, or Ulf, than me. So the other topics that we are working on, we continue working on finalizing our support for full-fledged support for naming services. So the work on subdomains is almost done and soon will be integrated into them, merged with the rest of the code which is being written for naming services. And then the parts of our Swedish team, which is mostly responsible for writing our new virtual machine Fate, is coming back from the holidays. So we also see tasks being completed there. So right now, for example, we're working on improving the storage format for maps in Fate. And yes, I think state channels, naming services, plus we have this issue with EC verify, so the the ability to verify Ethereum signatures, which we will need for migrating the tokens after, I think, 22nd of September on our net. Otherwise, to allow people to get access to them even after they were frozen on the Ethereum network. So we're also making progress there. So we've decided to reuse parts of the existing Ethereum code which implement the EC verify. So it's, I think, done, and we just use it as a compiled model included into our node. So what left is support by the compiler in virtual machine, which will be like worked on this and next week. And I think this is it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sergey. I also see Grzegorz and Radek here. Radek is contributing quite a lot to Sophia and the VM, and it's amazing to follow the progress there. I think somebody told you also today, maybe Pivo, that you could also be part of looking into this EC Verify thing. So maybe just give us a short update about your past week's contributions, Radek.
Hi. At this moment, I am still stick to the Sophia compiler, and I am preparing my least comprehensive syntactic extension to be merged and well tested. And also, I am writing tests for standard library, which is also going to be featured, just to make sure that nothing is broken before the release. And beside that, I'm developing interactive shell for Sophia, so you will no longer need to write unit tests to check some behavior. This is still very work in progress. Currently, one can just check a type of some expression or inspect the compiled Fate bytecode. But I believe it is going to be a very helpful tool for any Sophia developer. So I hope it will be usable soon.
Great, fantastic, and yeah, please continue with this good work. I also see Grzegorz here. Grzegorz, what have you been working on the past week? So I personally cannot hear you. You're still muted. I don't know.
Hi everyone. So right now, last week I was working on protecting the off-chain state. And now, one moment. And now, and now.
Yes. Yeah, all fine. I can hear you well, Grzegorz. I think the others can also hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you.
Yeah, it's okay, Grzegorz. I mean, sometimes it's just breaking up, but I could get the update that you are also hands on some state channel functionality, and yeah, I see you also very active in the dev chat. We will just get your update on next week's Friday call. So thank you very much for participating and being here. One more person that we haven't seen for quite a while is Andrew, who is working on the Go SDK. I know we already got John's general updates about the progress in the SDK section, but maybe you can also give us some insight, Andrew, on your past week's work.
This past week, I have been working on GA transaction support, and this needed a large refactoring to be able to serialize and deserialize transactions. But what is cool now is that the Go SDK can take a TX_ transaction string, and then it will tell you what kind of transaction it is and fill out all the fields. So you can very easily see what is in a transaction string. Yeah, so that's a great thing. But GA transaction support will be kind of not really there until the node itself has GA meta transactions in its HTTP API.
Great. Just for everyone, GA generalized accounts. It's still a very fresh and new feature from Eternity, and maybe not everybody is aware of it yet. Thank you very much, Andrew. As I also know that you are like the main developer here at the Go SDK. There are not so many others helping you with this. I mean, of course, you're coordinating very well with the SDK, the JavaScript, Python, and for sure also other people from the community. But it's good to see the progress here, and thanks a lot for your contribution. If I go now over the list here, I think we had more or less everybody. Oh, Nikita is still here. So Nikita, I closed you down just a couple of minutes ago. So now you kind of have the last word. Nikita, please give us an insight about your past week and the different areas that you contributed to.
Hi, can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Clearly. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. So last week we've worked again on many things. One of them was the counting of the remaining tokens that were still not burned in the Ethereum ERC20 contract. Yeah, writing scripts that basically redundantly try to fetch data from whatever sources that are available, because none of them are really for now. Martin is setting up a node, so we will have our own or our second own. Yeah, mainly the core dev team is really busy with everything, all the preparations for the next hard fork. So I took it to mostly write down the next tasks for the time after that. Can't wait, so we can finally move on and progress towards new cool features and other stuff that is currently missing right now. And also I've been building heavily, extensively with the JavaScript SDK, basically reporting all the roadblocks I've bumped in, and also tried to focus on some sanity checks because it's really crazy that like how high the reciprocal interconnections of all features and stuff which we add basically are. So for example, we added a tool or a function to choose between various nodes in the JS SDK. But then can happen a scenario that you overload the contract and then you choose to interact with different node, and then of course you're gonna get errors, and there's nothing to prevent you basically from all that. So the combinations of many cases basically may run us into problems. Therefore, I've spent lots of time talking with Nas this week also about AX2. Heavily waiting to come to finally released, so to be able to use Milan's wallet browser add-on finally also in my Fire editor. I made a small new release today which allows to dynamically adjust basically arbitrary SDK settings, of which not all of that is already implemented into the graphical user interface, but as always, you always see the tip of the iceberg, and the big stuff is mostly underneath below. And yeah, I'm trying to set up a couple of things to maybe make this editor usable for interactive coding lessons for Sophia. because this, yeah, the cool part about Angular and also the other stuff that's out there is, of course, that you can have everything really modular, and once it's there, you can use it basically for every arbitrary use case. So that might be the goal for the next time in the spare time. But yeah, focusing on all the current to-dos. Yeah, so small issue in the compiler found. Hans said he would take care of that once the hard fork thing is done. And yeah, so there's a backlog of things we can continue working with after the stressful time for the core dev team is finally over.
Great. Thank you very much, Nikita. And yeah, hereby, I think if nobody else wants to voice himself or herself, then I'd close this week's developer updates call. And again, I will also reach out to every single one of you to get a short written update with the links into the forum. And we try to do this every 2 weeks. So if you have done your update last week, it's not necessary to do it this week, but that we have an average every 2 weeks, a short written update. Yeah, with all the resources that we talk about here in this call. And yeah, thank you very much. And I hope you have a great weekend and a productive next week. And we see each other next week at 3 p.m. CST here in this call. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye, guys. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.